Welcome back to Grifter or Gifted. Where we take a deep dive into the lives of some of today's most polarizing figures
Yeah.
to figure out if they're, truly changing the world
Right.
or just kind of playing us all.
Mm.
Today, we are headed to Mesa County, Colorado,
Okay.
a place known for its stunning scenery,
Beautiful country.
peaches,
Oh, yeah.
vineyards,
Absolutely.
but also
Huh.
unexpectedly election controversy.
Yeah, it's quite a juxtaposition, isn't it?
Is.
This really picturesque, mostly rural county on the western slope
Mm-hmm.
has a history of leaning heavily Republican,
Okay.
only voting Democratic once in a presidential election since 1952.
Wow.
So,
That's saying something.
yeah, it is.
So picture this.
Okay.
A backdrop of breathtaking mountains and vineyards.
All right.
And at the center of it all,
Mm-hmm.
Tita Peters,
Okay.
elected Mesa County Clerk in 2018.
All right.
We've got a stack of articles, court documents, and even some public comments about her.
Interesting.
Our mission is to sift through it all, determine if she's a visionary crusader for election integrity or something else entirely.
All right.
Ready to dive in.
Let's do it.
Okay.
So let's start with Peters' early days in office.
Okay.
Her initial platform focused mainly on improving motor vehicle services.
Like the DMV.
Yeah.
Interesting. Nothing that, screamed future election controversy.
Right. So where do things take a turn?
Well, early on,
Right.
in February 2020,
Mm-hmm.
there's this incident where 574 uncounted ballots are found in Peters' office.
Whoa, hold on.
Yeah.
574 ballots.
Yeah, just sitting in a box uncounted from the previous November election.
Wow. That definitely raises some red flags.
Absolutely. And it led to an attempt to recall her from office,
Hmm.
indicating a growing concern among some constituents.
Interesting. So instead of backing down, though,
Right.
she doubled down on concerns about election integrity,
Mhm.
becoming increasingly vocal about potential fraud. Yeah, and this is where her story starts to intersect with a wider movement that gains significant traction after the 2020 presidential election.
You're talking about the election integrity movement.
Exactly.
What exactly does that entail?
That's a great question, and it's important to define our terms here.
Okay.
The election integrity movement is a broad term
Okay.
that encompasses a wide range of perspectives and beliefs,
Okay.
from legitimate concerns about voter access and security to unfounded claims of widespread fraud.
So on the one hand, you have people advocating for things like voter ID laws,
Right.
improved cybersecurity measures,
Mm-hmm.
which are generally considered reasonable concerns.
Exactly. But on the other end of the spectrum,
Okay.
you have individuals promoting conspiracy theories claiming that voting machines are rigged or that there's a massive coordinated effort to steal elections.
And Tina Peters seems to have aligned herself with this latter group.
It seems that way.
She even attended a cybersecurity symposium hosted by Mike Lindell,
Okay.
the MyPillow CEO, known for his, passionate embrace, shall we say,
Yeah.
of election conspiracy theories.
That's one way to put it.
That association is significant.
Yeah.
It placed Peters firmly within a movement that has been widely criticized for spreading misinformation
Huh?
and undermining public trust in elections.
Absolutely.
And it's at this symposium where things escalate dramatically.
Okay.
Peters claims that leaked election data actually came from her office.
Oh, wow.
This is where the story takes a very serious turn.
All right.
Remember that incident with the uncounted ballots?
Yeah.
Well, fast forward to August 2021.
Okay.
And there's a major security breach in Mesa County's election systems
Uh-huh.
occurring during a routine software update.
During a software update.
That sounds almost accidental.
It might sound that way, but the details paint a much more deliberate picture.
Okay.
Peters is accused of allowing an unauthorized individual, Gerald Wood,
Okay.
to access the voting machines and copy sensitive data.
Wait, hold on. Who is Gerald Wood? And how did he get involved in all of this?
So Gerald Wood was initially skeptical of the 2020 election results
Okay.
and testified that he was approached by supporters of Peters to help preserve voting records.
Interesting.
He was granted access to the facility, and according to the prosecution, Peters used Wood's identity to enter and make copies of the voting system software.
So Peters is accused of orchestrating this whole scheme,
Right.
using Wood as a pawn to gain access to sensitive election data.
That was the prosecution's argument, and the jury ultimately agreed.
Wow.
During the trial, Peters' deputy clerk, Belinda Nisley, provided compelling testimony detailing Peters' efforts to bypass security protocols and cover up her actions.
And this Nisley, She was also involved in the breach.
Yes, she was initially charged with felony burglary and cybercrimes, but took a plea deal and agreed to testify against Peters.
Wow, talk about a plot twist.
Yeah.
So we have Nisley spilling the beans,
Right.
Wood admitting to his role,
Uh-huh.
and Peters is left holding the bag.
Yep.
It's a classic tale of ambition deceit. And as it turns out, passwords on sticky notes.
That's right, sticky notes. It came out during the trial that Peters and her associates used sticky notes to record and share passwords for the voting machines.
Not exactly cybersecurity best practices.
No, not at all.
It does make you wonder about her understanding of the technology involved.
Right.
If she was truly trying to expose vulnerabilities, you'd think she'd be a little more careful.
You would think so.
But let's get back to those leaked files.
Okay.
Where did they end up?
Those files were posted online
Oh, wow.
and became a rallying cry for election deniers presented as proof of widespread fraud, even though multiple audits found no evidence to support those claims.
Hold on. So Peters claims she's trying to expose fraud releases, sensitive election data, and then the data doesn't even show any fraud.
Right.
That's a lot to unpack.
It is.
Did her actions have any impact beyond Mesa County?
Absolutely. This incident became national news and added fuel to the already growing fire of election conspiracy theories. It also raised serious concerns about the security of voting systems across the country.
Right.
Remember, we're not just talking about Mesa County anymore.
Right.
This has implications for the entire electoral process.
That brings up a crucial question for our grifter or gifted assessment.
Okay.
Was Peters a lone wolf, or was she part of a larger network seeking to undermine public trust in elections? We know she associated with figures like Mike Lindell,
Right.
but was there more to it?
One of our sources identifies a broader network of election conspiracy figures, many of whom gained prominence after the 2020 election.
Interesting.
This network spreads misinformation through podcasts, social media rallies. Their influence is undeniable and continues to grow.
Okay, so we've got a rogue county clerk, leaked election data, a cast of characters spreading misinformation.
Yeah.
It sounds like something straight out of a political thriller.
It does.
But this is real life, and the stakes are incredibly high.
You're absolutely right. The actions of individuals like Tina Peters erode public trust in democratic institutions and make it much harder to have productive conversations about legitimate election security concerns.
So what does all this mean for you, the listener?
Right.
How can you discern between genuine efforts to improve election integrity and dangerous conspiracy theories designed to sow chaos and division?
That's the question we need to answer, and critical thinking is more important now than ever before. Don't just accept information at face value, especially when it comes from sources that align with your existing beliefs.
Right.
Look for credible evidence, consider multiple perspectives, and be wary of anyone who claims to have all the answers or presents themselves as a lone crusader fighting against a corrupt system.
Good advice.
And don't forget, trust in our elections is essential for a functioning democracy.
Absolutely.
We can all play a role in protecting that trust by staying informed, engaging in respectful dialogue, and holding our elected officials accountable.
We've established the what of the Tina Peters saga. Now let's get to the heart of the matter, why. What motivated her? Was she truly trying to uphold election integrity as she claimed? Or were there other factors at play? Peters insisted she was acting in the best interests of Mesa County, claiming her motivations were pure.
Right.
But does that hold up under scrutiny?
Well, her actions suggest something else entirely.
Okay.
She didn't just raise concerns privately. She actively sought the spotlight,
Okay.
aligning herself with high-profile figures in the election denial movement,
Okay.
appearing at rallies, even going on national television to spread her claims.
It almost seems like she was building a brand,
Yeah.
capitalizing on the controversy to gain notoriety.
That's a very keen observation.
Thanks.
In fact, after being barred from overseeing the 2021 election, Peters launched a campaign for Colorado Secretary of State.
She ran for higher office after all this.
Yes, and her platform was centered on, you guessed it, election integrity.
Wow.
She even received an endorsement from Donald Trump.
So the security breach that charges the national attention.
Yeah.
It all seemed to work in her favor,
Right.
bolstering her standing among a specific segment of the population.
Exactly. It points to a disturbing trend we're seeing, where individuals espousing these kinds of conspiracy theories are rewarded, not punished by their supporters.
What about the impact on Mesa County itself?
Right.
Did Peters' actions have real-world consequences?
Absolutely. The county had to spend over $1 million to replace the compromised voting equipment.
Oh, wow.
There's also the intangible cost of eroded trust in local government.
Right.
Some residents even reported receiving threats because of Peter's actions.
So circling back to the question we pose every episode,
Okay.
grifter or gifted,
Right.
in a world where charisma and controversy collide, how do we distinguish a visionary from a con artist?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is.
In Tina Peters' case, I think the answer is pretty clear.
Okay.
Her actions, her motivations, her ultimate legacy all point to one conclusion. This was not about election integrity. It was about self-promotion and political gain.
A classic case of grifter not gifted.
It seems that way.
And sadly, as we've seen, she's not alone.
Right.
There's a whole network of individuals profiting from these dangerous conspiracy theories.
Unfortunately, that's true.
That's why it's so important for each of us to be discerning consumers of information.
Absolutely.
Think critically, question your own biases, and hold those in positions of power accountable.
Couldn't agree more.
This deep dive has given us a lot to think about,
Yeah.
but we want to leave you with one final thought.
Okay.
Something to consider as you navigate this increasingly complex information landscape.
Right.
Pay attention to the network.
Okay.
As we saw with Tina Peters, these individuals rarely operate in isolation.
Right.
They connect with each other, amplify each other's messages, and build a web of influence that can be difficult to untangle. So do your research, follow the connections, and ask yourself,
Yeah.
who benefits from this information?
Right.
And what are their true motives?
Good questions.
Until next time, stay curious and stay informed.